Hello and welcome to Meet the Jeep. Today I'm going to be introducing you to my 2005 Jeep Grand Cherokee, and I'm going to be telling you what has gone wrong with it, what I've done to it and what still needs doing. Now, historically, American cars have not been that popular in the UK. Whether it's their hard plastic Fisher-Price dashboards or the instrument housings with digits that look like something from a 1970s calculator. Or could it be the fact that the interiors are always grey or beige, the colour of old people's coats? Who knows? But they never really sell in any great numbers. Now, the Grand Cherokee may not cut it in the local country club, in the quiet, wealthy Surrey villages, but it's good to be different, and who wants to be a clone of everybody else? Now, this car was cheap. It was way cheaper than anything else that was advertised. And it was so cheap to the point where I actually thought, is it worth even going to look at it? Because it's probably rubbish. But I took the chance and I went to look at it, and it wasn't rubbish. It was good. A bit tatty around the edges, needed a few things doing, nothing that I couldn't sort out. So I went for it. Now, on the way back, I discovered why it was cheap. You see, when I got home, I did what everyone does when they get a car home. They show their friends, they show their family, they're quite proud of their purchase. And I lifted the bonnet to show them the nice big V6 3-litre engine, and to my absolute horror, there was no coolant in the reservoir. Now, there had been when I left, so it had gone somewhere, and I felt dreadful. I didn't say anything at the time, but when I got home I looked at it and felt absolute dread. You know that feeling in the pit of your stomach when you realise you've just made a terrible decision? It's sickening. This feeling was in fact so bad that my immediate thought was to park it somewhere down the road and just pretend that the whole thing had never happened. But then I thought, no, that's not my style. And I went by something that I always say to others in their moment of despair, and that is, anything can be fixed. And that's true, anything can be fixed, but it has to be worth fixing. Now, these cars have a known issue where the oil cooler can leak oil or coolant, or even in some instances both. They can mix. It's a big deal to do. It's not insurmountable, it's not a problem, but it's a big job, and I'm sure it will happen at some point, and there'll be a great video about it, probably a series. I don't think I'll do it in one video. But this particular part lives deep down in the engine. It lives down in between the two banks of cylinders, so right in between the V. So it's a cow to get to. But this can fail, and this is, well, of course, this is naturally what I assumed had happened. But I did what I normally do, and I took everything apart. I'd only had the thing home an hour, and I started pulling it to pieces. And I've never in my life been so pleased to discover that I've got a defective leaking water pump. That's all it was. And once again, my feelings for my car were restored. So apart from the water pump debacle, what else have I done to this car? And do Jeep live up to the often joked about acronym, just empty every pocket? I gave this car a full service, which obviously included an oil change. But if you don't like changing fluids on your car, then Jeep is probably the wrong car for you, because it has so many. I changed the auto transmission fluid, along with the filter and the multi-pin socket which can leak on these. I changed the fluids in the transfer case, the front differential and also the rear axle. The coolant was replenished when I changed the water pump, and again when I went back for more and changed the top and bottom hoses, which looked a bit pregnant. I even changed the power steering fluid, as this system also drives a hydraulic cooling fan, and I couldn't be sure that the correct fluid was in the system, something that these are very sensitive to. ATF is a definite no-no in these. What should have been a simple brake fluid change turned into way more when 2 of the 4 bleed screws snapped clean off. They were that tight. Such was the difficulty in sourcing the correct size replacement bleed screws that for time reasons I changed 2 calipers, near side front and offside rear. And while I was there, I changed the front pads and also the rear pads and discs. While I was changing out the rear brake discs, I noticed there was some gear oil leaking on the near side. This I traced back to a hub seal. Unfortunately, the hub seal isn't available as a standalone item, so I had to order a complete hub unit, complete with wheel bearing. The part was quite expensive, but it was quite a straightforward thing to fit. Because both boots were split, I changed both track rod ends and then took the car along for a full wheel alignment check and adjustment. I also changed 2 front tyres, and I stuck to the factory original equipment on these and fitted some Goodyear Wranglers. I haven't calculated how much I spent on this car, and to be honest, it's probably best that I don't. But I don't mind spending money on this because I like the car and I really enjoy driving it. So what still needs doing to this car? It needs a couple of rear bump stops. These have started to disintegrate. They're not a big problem to do. They can be done with the coil springs in place. Apparently it's just a couple of bolts and the parts are about £50. There's also an anti-roll bar link that needs doing at the back. I haven't really noticed anything in the way of knocks or clunks, but apparently it was an advisory at the last MOT, so I'll be doing that soon as well. Now moving on to the bodywork. Now I have no idea who painted this bumper corner, but it is dreadful. The paint finish is appalling. It's rough. It looks like satin black. You can see where it goes from the bad paint there to the normal, where they've made a very lame attempt at blending. But I'll be taking care of that. I really enjoy paintwork, so that would be a great video. I'll strip that back, prime it, paint it, and lacquer it. It'll look good as new once I've finished there. Now for me, the jury's still out on this grille. It's meant to have a plastic insert with like a series of, well, they're kind of like ribbed bits here. But someone's taken that out and they've fitted this metal, I forget what the name of it is. It's not chicken wire, is it? But yeah, it's, I don't know if I like it. There certainly is unlikely to be another one out there like this. I may replace this yet. It's 50 quid for a second-hand one on eBay. It's not big money. Again, it gives it a bit of individuality. It's not too horrendous. I think that mesh was silver and they've painted it with matte black, so if it all starts peeling off, I'll definitely be getting rid of it because that will look ridiculous. But I'm going to take some time to decide on that. Now, one thing that is missing on this car is a seal that's meant to be here. There is one on the other side, which you can see here. Now, I've had terrible trouble getting hold of this part, so if anyone knows where I can get one, please let me know in the comments. Also, there's something missing here. There's meant to be some sort of a cover over this little ultrasonic interior alarm sensor, but it's never been there. So if anyone knows what should be there or knows where I can get hold of one, again, please let me know because I'm really struggling to get hold of that part. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Do feel free to like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. This car will be featuring a lot more on this channel because there are still things to do to it, and I will be uploading videos for all the things that I plan to do. Thank you very much and goodbye.